I say down with British imperialism. You say India do not have peace. We have only slavery. Generations of so-called civilization has brought us everything filthy and degenerating known to the human race. All you have to do is to read your own history. If you have any human decency about you, you should die with shame. This excerpt from his speech given to the judge during his trial at the British court can be a full introduction of the character of Udham Singh, the revolutionary. In the freedom struggle for India's independence from British rule, we have acknowledged freedom fighters like Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh, Matongini Hajra, Suhasini Ganguly, Kanaklata Barua, Lakshmi Sehgal to name a few. But at the same time, there were many more freedom fighters, or rather revolutionaries, whose sacrifices paved the way for India's independence. Our efforts are to identify and recognize such revolutionaries and their contribution towards the struggle for India's independence. Udham Singh was born as Sher Singh on 26 December 1899 at Sunam, Sangrur district of Punjab, India. His father, Sardar Tehal Singh Jammu, was a farmer and also worked as the railway crossing watchman in the village of Upalli. After his father's death, Udham and his elder brother Mukta Singh were taken in by the Central Khalsa Orphanage Putligarh in Amritsar. Sher Singh was initiated in the Sikhism and received the name of Udham Singh. He passed his matriculation examination in 1918 and left the orphanage in 1919. As the winds of India's struggle for its independence were flowing across the whole country, it was not uncommon for a normal person to get sucked into its wave of patriotism. And the same also happened with Udham Singh. Udham Singh was deeply influenced by Bhagat Singh and his revolutionary group. In the year 1924, Udham Singh became involved with the Ghadar party, motivating India's overseas in America to become a patron in support of overthrowing the colonial rule. In 1927, he returned to India on orders from Bhagat Singh, bringing 25 associates as well as ammunition. Unfortunately, soon after, he was arrested for possession of unlicensed arms. He was prosecuted and sentenced to 5 years in prison. The Jallianwala Bagh massacre was etched in the mind of Udham Singh, and it was a constant reminder to him to take revenge on Brigadier General Dyer, who had ordered his troops to fire on innocent people, and the death casualties were more than 1,000 people and over 2,000 were left injured. Udham Singh was released from prison in 1931, and his every movements were under constant surveillance by the then Punjab police under the British rule. He made his way to Kashmir, where he was able to evade the police and escape to Germany. In 1934, he reached London, where he found employment as an engineer. He formed plans to assassinate Michael O'Dwyer, who was the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Punjab, and also endorsed Brigadier General Dyer's actions during the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, which had left an indelible mark in his life to which he could not forget. On 13th March 1940, Michael O'Dwyer was scheduled to speak at a joint meeting of the East India Association and the Central Asian Society. Udham Singh concealed in his jacket pocket a revolver he had earlier purchased from a soldier in a pub. He entered the hall and found an open field. As the meeting concluded, Singh shot O'Dwyer twice as he moved toward the speaking platform. One of these bullets passed through O'Dwyer's heart and right lung, killing him almost instantly. Udham Singh surrendered immediately after the shooting. On 1st of April 1940, Udham Singh was formally charged with the murder of Michael O'Dwyer and remanded in custody at Brixton Prison. Udham Singh was convicted of murder and sentenced to death. On 31st July 1940, Singh was hanged at Pentonville Prison. Many Indians regarded Singh's actions as a response to some brutal aspects of British colonial rule, which led to so much sufferings to the Indian citizens. Officially, his actions were deplored and condemned in India, with Mahatma Gandhi referring to Singh's actions as an act of insanity, stating, "The outrage has caused me deep pain. I regard it as an act of insanity. I hope this will not be allowed to affect political judgment." The Hindustan Socialist Republican Army condemned Mahatma Gandhi's statement, considering this to be a challenge to the Indian youth. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru wrote in the National Herald, "The assassination is regretted, but it is earnestly hoped that it will not have a far-reaching repercussions on the political future of India." Shaheed-e-Azam Sardar Udham Singh's remains are preserved at the Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar, Punjab. On every 31st of July, marches are held in Sunam by various organizations, and every statue of Singh in the city is paid tribute with flower garlands.